They say time heals everything, but time doesn't erase betrayal. It only sharpens the memory. My name is Omowunmi Odeola. Once, I was the golden girl. A first-class student, scholarship recipient, and the pride of my family. I had dreams of becoming a lawyer, one who actually fought for justice, not one who fed on the system. But I learned too early that in this country, justice is expensive, and silence is cheaper. It started with a research paper. A professor at Tate asked me to alter data to protect a senator's son. I refused. I thought that was the end of it. It wasn't. 3 weeks later, I was arrested. Examination fraud. Document tampering. Things I didn't even understand. I watched my name become a stain, my scholarship revoked, my hostel space taken, my parents too ashamed to speak. No lawyer. No defense. Just a courtroom full of whispers and a smacking professor who wouldn't even meet my eyes. I spent 8 months in holding. Not prison, but close enough. Close enough to lose friends. Close enough to see how the system feeds on the weak. Close enough to want revenge. But I didn't seek revenge. I sought justice. I disappeared after my release. People thought I'd gone abroad or died. I just stopped being visible. I worked at a law firm as a clerk under a false name. I cleaned floors, sorted files, and learned everything I could about the same system that broke me. For 5 years, I gathered information. Quietly. Carefully. I kept a notebook. Names. Times. Bribes. Documents people tossed out, thinking no one was watching. I was watching. Then one day, I walked into a cafe and sat across from a journalist named Bola. She didn't know me. Not yet. I slid a file across the table and said, "If I go missing, publish it anyway." Her hands shook as she read. Not because she doubted it, but because she knew, she'd seen the edges of the rot and finally found its heart. It took 3 weeks. That's all. 3 weeks for the story to hit the front page. For hashtags to trend. For former victims to speak up. For the university board to panic. For Professor Tate to be summoned to court. He tried to deny it. Called me a disgraced ex-student. But I had time-stamped photos, financial records, and testimonies. His lies collapsed like wet paper. People called me brave. But I wasn't brave. I was tired. Tired of silence. Tired of fear. Tired of watching evil men sleep soundly while good women suffered. The same courtroom where I was once convicted watched me walk in free, not to defend myself, but to testify. Tate was convicted. The senator's son fled the country. The board resigned. And the university now has a whistleblower fund, named after me. Funny, isn't it? They buried me in shame, but I grew roots in the dark. Now, I run a legal aid center for women like me. Girls who were told, keep quiet and move on. Girls who chose to speak anyway. I don't believe in revenge. Not really. But I do believe in consequences. And sometimes, when the wind is right and the timing perfect, the evil that men do returns, loudly, painfully, and directly, to its master. And that is justice. People often think that once justice is served, the pain ends. But the truth is, justice isn't an event, it's a journey. And that journey is long, quiet, and often lonely. After Professor Tate's conviction, I thought I'd sleep better. I didn't. In fact, that's when the real nightmares began. Not the kind that come in sleep, but the ones that follow you in daylight, in inbox messages, in silent stares from cars that pass by too slowly. The story trended for 3 weeks. The name Omowunmi became a symbol of resistance online. But behind the screen, I was terrified. I received anonymous threats. My parents were harassed at church. My little brother was followed home from school. They didn't just want me silent, they wanted me erased. But I had already learned, silence had cost me too much. So I pressed forward. With Bola, the journalist who first helped me, we decided to keep digging. We started with documents, student testimonies, and leaked files. What we found was worse than we expected. The scandal wasn't isolated. There was an entire network, one that stretched across universities, masked behind scholarship grants, foreign exchange programs, and sponsored research trips. Dozens of female students had gone abroad, but never returned. Their families received money or silence. Some of those girls had tried to speak. Most of them had vanished afterward. That's when I met Titi. She was one of them. Hiding. Scarred. Alive. Her story nearly broke me. And it was her voice that pushed me from justice to mission. I knew I couldn't fix the system. But I could fight for the girls who had been left behind by it. I used everything I had saved to open a small legal resource center. It was barely more than one room with plastic chairs, borrowed power, and a printer from Bola's office. But to some girls, it became the first safe place they'd seen in years. And for a while, it worked. We helped file police reports. We worked with other journalists. We taught girls how to document harassment and corruption safely. I didn't know it then, but we were building something much larger than I ever imagined. Then one night, the center caught fire. No alarm. No warnings. Just smoke, and then nothing. We lost everything. Files. Laptops. Cases. Memories. I remember standing in the ashes the next morning, wondering if it was all worth it. Wondering if maybe they had won. But the truth is, fire doesn't erase purpose. It purifies it. A retired judge, Justice Ngozi, reached out after watching an interview I gave. She became our mentor, our firewall, and the mind that helped us move legally and strategically. With her help, we uncovered the financial trails. Millions laundered through fake grants. Bribes exchanged for silence. Even private security agencies complicit in silencing victims. Eventually, our efforts forced the government's hand. A public hearing was called. Survivors came forward in numbers. Live stream testimony. National attention. That was the moment I realized we had moved from victims to voices. Tate's conviction had been justice for me. But this was justice for all the others. Laws began to change. Whistleblower protections were expanded. Government funding was allocated to support victim advocacy groups. Schools were placed under independent audit. And in the midst of all of that, I turned down 3 awards. Because this was never about praise. It was about purpose. I named our new center the House of Truth. We now have 4 branches across the country. Every month, we train young women, students, interns, teachers, on how to identify injustice and respond to it with strategy, not just emotion. Sometimes, when I walk past the mirror, I barely recognize myself. Not because I look different, but because I've grown into someone I never imagined I'd become. I was once a girl who begged the system for mercy. Now I'm a woman who helps others hold that system accountable. The cause they meant for me, shame, failure, silence, did not stick. Because the evil they planted grew back toward them. And like a boomerang, it returned with force. Today, I don't seek revenge. I just shine light. Because the one thing evil fears the most is being seen. And as long as I breathe, I will make sure it's seen.